member service and member meeting. There we go. The meeting will be shorter. We're starting at 8, and so we can get to our membership meeting and still have plenty of time to do both. And it inspired me to do this talk today. The name of it is called Your Unity in Real Life. So I'm going to give you a little bit of, in case you hadn't read the email or saw the Facebook post, I'm going to give a little brief history of unity, your unity, our unity. It started with a spiritual experience. That's how it began. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, they were inspired by a fellow by the name of Dr. E.B. Weeks. Weeks, his center of his philosophy was, he was a metaphysician, New Thought, and he was a student of Hopkins. And obviously he was very interested in spiritual healing. Both of them, Charles and Myrtle, went to a lecture by this man, and they left different. They left healed through the idea that they heard from this Dr. Weeks, and you've heard me read this before, but I'm going to read it again. And this was the affirmation that caused the spiritual experience within Myrtle. I'm a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. I believe we have a slide that depicts these two at about that time. Now, when I'm talking spiritual experience, you must remember a time when you might have felt goosebumps, or what I like to call angel bumps. And we're talking about these angel bumps all through her. Not just on her skin, but within and without. Her entire being. She had this spiritual experience that this thought, this I am a child of God and therefore I do not inherit sickness, really got to every cell. She got it. She got it. She took it. She really got it. And that's how we started. And they were students, or I should say devotees perhaps, of Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the center of his philosophy was transcendentalism. And I'm going to just tell you a little bit of what I learned about transcendentalism. I thought I might have known. The truth is, there's so many definitions and so much about it that people teach classes and there are a million books on it. But this is basically what this is the bare bones of what I learned. That there was a movement. It was in the late 1820s and 30s, and it was spurred by the reaction to the perceived excessive intellectualism in our country, and also in reaction to the organized religion at the time. And it really turned these folks to nature and within. These people included, but wasn't limited to these names, Emerson, Thoreau, Fuller, Alcott, and Whitman, and many others. Now the Fillmores also studied with these people. Can we have a slide? Oh, I forgot my Mickey hand. There we go. There we are. So we have Mary Baker Eddy. She started Christian Science. The center of her philosophy was spiritual healing. And Emma Curtis Hopkins, also known as the teacher of teachers, she was, because she taught so many. And the center of her philosophy was mysticism, and she was the co-organizer and creator of the New Thought movement. And it was very, very key spiritual healing. Very, very key spiritual healing to her. So what happened next? Did they start a church? No. Church was about the farthest thing from Charles Fillmore's mind. He was not interested in the church. So what did they do? Well, he started a movement. They started a movement. The Unity movement started here in the United States. It was intended as an addition or an alternative to the organized religion at the time. Remember, they were coming from the transcendentalists. Yet it didn't quite take, because of two very important tenets of the Unity philosophy. The big one, that the divine exists within each of us. the organized religions at the time didn't go for that. They were, you know, God is out there, and I'll help you get to that. And well, this was God is within us, and the other are oneness with God. We are one. That wherever we are, wherever we look, there's God. So what happened next? They started a magazine. Who doesn't do that? In 1889, they started a magazine. Anybody know the name of it? It was called Modern Thought. And yes, that later became Unity Magazine, but that was the name of it at the time. And in 1890, they started a prayer group, which is now known as Silent Unity. They started publishing books. The first one, does anybody know what the first book was? Lessons in Truth by Emily Cady. So these people were reading these magazines and reading the books, and they wanted to get together and talk about what they were learning, to come together with like-minded people. They wanted to not just sit at home reading their stuff. They wanted to see and meet other people and see what they thought of these things. Eventually, these were called Unity Centers. That's what they ended up being called. And then later on, they became Unity Churches. And then in 1906, Unity started the Society for Practical Christianity. They taught classes, which eventually led to ordinations. And in 1906, Charles and Myrtle were among the first ordained. And then in 1914, it was the Unity School of Practical Christianity. So I guess they changed their name there. It was incorporated. And then 10 years later, another magazine was started. Does anybody know which one that was?
Daily Word.
Steve? The Daily Word. Okay, do we have a picture of that? No, there we go. Thank you. I didn't want to show it and give it away. There we go. So why Unity? Why not go to another church? We're here today. Why didn't we go somewhere else? And why not go to another New Thought church? Why come to Unity? I'd like to read you this Unity Worldwide Ministries, from now on UWM, quote, "Unity teachings are based on the universal spiritual principles that run like a thread through the world's religions. These are laws that seem to govern humankind, no matter where we live, or even whether we are aware of these principles and whether or not they exist. They have been expressed in many ways through thousands of years, but the essence of them is this: the 5 basic Unity principles." And you can read them later. Well, unless you want me to read them now. Alrighty. "There is only one presence and one power active as the universe and in my life, God the good. 2, our essence is of God, therefore we are inherently good. This God essence was fully expressed in Jesus the Christ. We are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. Through prayer and meditation," that's 4, "we align our heart-mind with God. Denial and affirmations are tools we use. And 5, through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth we know." Beautiful. Who is Unity? I don't know if you can read that or not, so I will. Unity is a positive, practical, progressive approach to Christianity, based on the teachings of Jesus and the power of prayer. Unity honors the universal truths in all religions and respects each individual's right to choose a spiritual path. So those might be reasons why you come to Unity and why you come to Unity of Las Cruces. Charles and Myrtle Fillmore had a special relationship with Jesus, the way shower. A special relationship with Jesus Christ, the Christ light, the Spirit. And Charles, in his writings, had many, many, many references to Jesus. Very specific, very intimate writings on the subject. This is one thing he said. Unity is a link in the great educational movement inaugurated by Jesus Christ. Our objective is to discern the truth in Christianity and prove it. The truth that we teach is not new, neither do we claim special revelations or discovery of new religious principles. Our purpose is to help and teach mankind to use and prove the eternal truth taught by the Master. Another aspect of unity which may draw you is the fact that Myrtle and Charles Fillmore's approach was through spiritual healing of the mind, body, and spirit. The whole enchilada, as we say around here. So in that vein, I'm going to reread this affirmation, which we'll all probably have memorized by the end of the service. I am a child of God, and therefore I do not inherit sickness. Why unity? Well, another reason might be is because unity is not about telling you how or what to think, or what to believe, to do. Unity encourages the independent self, the free thinker. It's akin to when I spoke another time, I talked about when the student is ready. We don't proselytize, we invite. And again from UWM, spiritual action. In unity, we feel a sacred responsibility, individually and collectively, to make a positive difference through personal example and active service in our churches, our communities, and our world. So here are some more ideas to consider. Like I said, Charles Fillmore had a special relationship. I don't know how to say it with any more specific than that at this point. It's a very special relationship with Jesus, the Christ, the way shower, the brother, our brother. And I spoke with a couple of Unity ministers, one you may know and one you may not, and I spoke with a member, a lifelong member of Unity, who I know you know, but I'm going to leave that anonymous. And there are some insights that they shared with me. One is that Jesus is considered an example, not an exception. Let that sink in. And that we acknowledge this Christ light. That was another big important thing. The acknowledgement of the Christ light that we speak of so often. And the belief that Jesus gave the world. This was the gift that Jesus gave the world. The gift and path of inner spirituality, within and without. So there was no going out to other gods or other people to get to our spirituality. We ourselves. And that we're not looking outside ourselves. We're not looking down the road or to some other website. That just keep looking outside, outward focused, but to be inward focused. This was a gift. And that's one of the things that this person liked so much. And another was a practical approach to spirituality, especially self-responsibility. And this person said it was like to her a personal light switch. She was responsible for putting on that switch. She wasn't expecting somebody else to come by and just stand there and wait for them to put on the switch so she could see the light. And I like to add that it's very much like this aspect of being self-responsible for our own spirituality is also like the image of the metaphysician in the armchair who sits and reads and philosophizes and might talk to other people and write a little bit, but but there's no applying, there's no getting up out of the chair, there's no doing. And what I'm saying is not all metaphysicians are that way, but there are some, and maybe we've all been through that phase where we just needed to sit in a chair and do that. But at some point we come to the point where we need to apply and do. The other thing that I got many times, many times, is that though we have what seems like a scientific approach, we're not intellectually, we're not filtering everything through our intellect. You know, it's not a cold science, it's the heart. It comes from the heart. That was the biggest thing. It comes from our heart. And one of the things that I like, personally, is this idea that you come as you are. You come as you are. You be who you are and what you are. And you thought I was joking about the bunny slippers. I wasn't. If that's what it takes for you to get to an 8:30 service, you know, throw on those sweats and bunny slippers and bring it on. Personally, again, I was touched by the, where all are welcome, safe and loved. There was a time in 2012 when my sister Paula came to visit for Christmas, and I knew that I could bring Paula to the Unity service, not just the Sunday service, but also later to the Christmas Eve service. And I didn't have to worry that she would be banished, shamed, or rejected because she was a transgender. I didn't have to worry about bringing my precious Paula. And you all greeted her and you all loved her. Oh, forgot the finger, there we go. The Mickey hand, as we call it. Thanks to Daniel. Okay, why Unity of Las Cruces? Well, you remember those early unities, you know, they needed a place to have like-mindedness. We have a spiritual community here. We're like-minded people. We may not be the same, obviously we're not the same. We're all very unique. We have different views on just about everything. But there are certain things that are very, very important to us, and those things we have in common. We're like-minded there. And we're growing, and we're building spiritually. We learn from talks, hello, and we're learning from talking with others. So we're not just sitting in that armchair reading about it or watching it on the internet. I made myself and Jane cry, sorry. So let's go to our next slide. Maybe that'll get you laughing, maybe. My friend told me there was life was outside the internet, and that I should check it out. I asked him to send me a link. So you see what's happening there. We have the world coming out of our phone, which is true. We do have the world in our hand, literally. And you know, but sometimes we just want to get out. Look at that puppy there. He just wants to get out. He just wants to go running and walking and seeing other critters. Now, I'd like to acknowledge that the internet is a very important and valid and critical tool, not just to Unity, but to each of us, personally and individually. We have all different needs for it, but we have them. And it's critical. We really, at this point in our history, we need it. And it's working very well in most cases. Sometimes we get a little overwhelmed with it. I want just to remind us that though we took our own first breaths by ourselves, and we do many, many things alone, which we won't go into all the details, we weren't put on this earth with 7.5 billion people to be alone, to do it alone, to go it alone. Now, people who know me well know that they can't believe I'm saying this, because I actually myself have been accused of being a hermit. And I actually myself accused myself of being a hermit. Because, you know, I was writing from home. I worked from home. I really didn't have a need to go anywhere. And I told a group of ladies one time, you know, I really don't have a need to go. Maybe every 2 or 3 weeks I might have to go to the grocery store. And they just couldn't believe it. well, I've got to get out every day, they needed to be, they couldn't do that. Well, I didn't have any trouble with that. So of all the people who understands the pull of the internet and being self-sufficient, I'm with you there. And it's how I manage, I should say, to keep up with my ministry, growing ministry, my current education units you may have heard of, and build myself, learn and continue to grow. I had a girlfriend, a few friends obviously, but one who always kept coming over. She'd call and she'd come over. She always wanted to come over, and that was Reverend Bonnie. And she just kept coming over, and she would come over and we'd have coffee and sit out on the patio, or we'd have lunch and sit on the patio, and she'd have breaks in between her sign language signing at the university, and I really have to say I really enjoyed that. It was good, and I counted that as outside contact, of course, on my sheet. I'm kidding. So, I'm just saying I get it. I get not coming. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I totally understand. But we have a great community here of people that are here in real life, and you'll love them like we do. There are meetup apps that you can use, or you can just come here in real life. So that's what I'm saying. We here are in the heart and soul, not just the intellect. We are heart and soul, not just intellect. Do you feel it? There's a move afoot. Anybody feel that move afoot? I want to read a quote by this fellow I came across by a recommendation from Reverend Debbie O'Connor up in Rio Rancho, Albuquerque Unity. His name is Doug Botorf. I'm going to say it wrong, Botorf. He's an independent Unity minister, and he lives in Colorado. And he has a blog, it's called The Awakened Soul. And in it, he talked about this. Move afoot, he didn't use that term. He said, I sense many are getting weary of the slog. So what I'm talking about here is that pull, that too muchness, I call it. The too much, just too much. It's too much, too much, too much. You can't go anywhere without hearing about it. Declutter, minimalize, simplify your life. And there's a reason for that, because as human beings, our spiritual selves are longing for balance. It's a subtle thing for some, and some of it it's overwhelming. If you remember my quote recently, might have even been last week, Henry David Thoreau, simplify, simplify, simplify. So we're fasting from too much and feasting by taking back time, taking back our time. And I will offer again my affirmation on time. I have all the time I need to do whatever I need or want to do. So some of you may know about Luddites. Now, anybody know about Luddites? And anyone not know about what Luddites? Okay, so I'm going to tell you about Luddites. There was a movement, and let's see here, yes, in the 19th century, and it was in the textile workers they had a revolt against the machines that they were bringing into the factories because they felt that they were evil and were taking over. Now, the reason I bring this up is because there's another, the latest version of the use of the term Luddite is for people who we might want to call technophobes or have the same sentiment that those folks did with the textile machinery. And it's against the internet and the related tools. So I want to say that we have, this is one extreme, because not everyone is a complete Luddite. They embrace some things. They have phones, they may have an email, and they may come out of their homes. And I'm not talking about Luddites. I'm talking about the minimalism movement of balance. It's our soulful longing for what's real. It's a soulful longing. We know this, there's too much going on. So our soul is longing for less online and more real life, less high-tech and more organic, less fake news and more real life. The too muchness of the virtual seeks a balance in nature, in the natural, and in what's real. I have to quote Reverend Bottorff again. Inner stillness calms external waves. So we're turning away from these pulling distractions when we're seeking balance in our lives. There he goes. He's good. He's good. We're turning toward intentionally living life and away from these pulling distractions. We're pulling toward what we want to do, away from what they want us to see, what they want us to read, what they want us to reply to. We're intentionally intentionally moving ourselves, I should say, toward what we want, toward how and who we want to apply our thoughts, words, and actions. So we can seek this balance between the virtual and the real, because in each there are beautiful things. We learn, we grow everywhere. We look everywhere. But what I'm suggesting is a balance. That's what I'm saying. Again, Reverend Bottorff said, "My favorite people have always been the real ones." And you might remember this. From UWM. In Unity, we feel sacred responsibility, individually and collectively, to make positive difference through personal example and active service in our churches, our community, and our world. So what do we feel? What do we feel, Unity of Las Cruces? Do we feel sacred responsibility? Do we make positive difference through our personal example and active service? We are breathing, walking examples of spirit, wherever we are and whatever we do. We share ourselves, we share our love, and we share our inner selves through our channeling of this love. And I'm going to close with today's talk with my Lent affirmation. This is the affirmation I've been using all the whole Lent season, and I've been putting it in the emails if you get those. I'm going to read it to you now. I honor the fast and the feast of Lent. I let go of that which blocks my highest and best, and loose myself to accept divine good in my life. Thank you. Amen. So let us prepare for meditation. Ready? Get comfortable. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. We're breathing out the tension and the stress, and breathing in the light and the love of the God, the universe, the Christ light. Feel this energy center around our feet, healing them and relaxing them. And the more we relax, the more healing. We breathe in and breathe out. Relax and receive the healing as it moves up our legs, into our knees, relaxing and healing there as we recognize the flexibility in our lives. And we are flexible in every aspect of our lives, and we move forward in our lives with flexibility. And up our legs, into our hips, knowing that we move forward in balance. We move forward in balance. We breathe in and we relax. We breathe in and we exhale imbalance. The healing is taking its place as we breathe in and breathe out. And this energy now centers around the base of our spine and grows and moves into our abdomen, our entire abdomen. We're here. We open the door to forgiveness. We breathe in love. We breathe out fear. Breathe in love. Breathe out fear. Breathe in knowing. Breathe in faith. Let go of the stress. And we forgive ourselves. We breathe in that compassion and we forgive ourselves. We let go and we release all that, replacing it with love and compassion and freedom. We forgive ourselves for anything that we might have done or we think we've done or we actually did do. And we know we learn from these things and we have compassion for ourselves. And we forgive, release, and let go. Receive the compassion and the healing. Forgive, release, and let go. And receive the compassion, the love, and the healing. Allow this compassion and love, healing move in our spines, move up our spines, into our chests, healing and loving and letting that compassion grow. Feel it grow, the love grow for ourselves and others. Has grown so large and so strong and so integral to us. We forgive others and we ask them to forgive us. And we're filled with even more love and more freedom as we do that. Breathe in love and healing. And let go that which just belonged to us. No longer belongs to us. Let it go. We seek love. The energy in our hands, we feel it growing. Healing, light, and love of God moving up our arms, into our shoulders, into our shoulder joints. Feel the relaxation and the healing that we've let go of all those burdens through our compassion, allowing the healing to take place. And into our shoulder muscles now, relaxing them. Feel the waves of forgiveness, the loving, compassionate waves of healing energy, relaxing those muscles. And letting go of all those responsibilities that do not belong to us. Allowing those that they do belong to carry and learn from. We let go of those things that do not belong to us. And as we do, the muscles in our shoulders relax, relax. And the energy grows and moves into our necks, into our necks, into our throats. Relaxing and healing, settling, healing there. Feel it all the way around and into our jaws, relaxing those joints, massaging those muscles, relaxing, soothing them. And we know that as we speak our truth, our kind, loving truth, we have strong words that are powerful with kind, loving energy. And this healing energy moving into our face now, relaxing the muscles there and up over our scalps and around our entire head so that we're filled with this loving, healing energy from the tips of our toes to the very tips and tops of our heads. We are feeling it, breathing in the energy, breathing out anything that remains in your residual stress. Breathing in and allowing this loving, healing energy to grow and grow so that it actually moves beyond us into the person next to us, and it fills this room, completely filling the room with this loving, healing light. So much so that we share it now with the entire world, our entire planet, so that every place we know, every place we don't know, every needful place is touched with this love, this healing, loving, powerful energy of God. See it in your mind, how beautiful our lovely planet, with all of us. Beautiful, beautiful, loving. Bring that energy now back into this room and back to you, where you are now able to feel even more your hands and your feet, and where you're sitting now, in the chair where you're sitting, knowing that there's people next to you, in front of you, and know that this healing is taking place. All is well. Thank you. Amen.